Hey, good morning. Yes, it is. It's Thursday, October 19th. Welcome back to the channel, or welcome to the channel, whichever it is. So, I thought today we would talk about customer service skills and honestly what it is and how to approach it. And then I'd like to also cover where people have the tendency to worry about everybody else and they get overwhelmed because they're worrying about everybody else instead of taking care of themselves first. But I thought I'd touch briefly on that in the second half. So, okay, so let's first start off with customer service. Now, I can tell you from history that you can have the best mechanic doing the best work out there, but if that mechanic hasn't got the people skills or the tolerance to deal with people, customers, then they either have to work for somebody else that does, or deal with, try to figure out how to create that within themselves, or find another line of work. It's one of the three things. What I see in a lot of smaller shops that are just starting out or have been in business for a little while, but they don't have a large customer base, is that the person doesn't know how to give quality customer service. And customer service is really easy. People make it too hard. Customer service is basically talking to people the way you would your friends. Open, honestly, and just, it is what it is. Here at my shop, all of my customers are also my friends. I always say a new customer is a friend I've yet to meet. That's like with you guys that are joining the channel. You guys are just new friends I've yet to meet. And as I meet each one of you guys, even just through messaging and stuff, it's great. But if you're sitting there second guessing yourself all the time of how you should be talking to your customers, one of two things is going to happen. Either you're going to get choked up and you're not going to be talking to your customers, or you'll blab insensibly, to where people are like, what the hell is that person on? I've seen those people too. The best way to understand customer service and to learn how to do customer service is stand in front of a mirror. You're talking to yourself. How would you want to be treated when it came to having your lawnmower serviced and fixed? What are your expectations, and what is it? How is it you want to be approached? Like I say, people overcomplicate things when it comes to, this is the KISS principle of keep it simple, stupid. Yes. Stop worrying about flashcards that you're trying to do for sales and this and that. Just talk to your customer. The worst thing you can do to your customer, lie to them. Lying and being dishonest is what can destroy a shop. And a lot of people don't realize that are out there doing what they call customer service, and they're not. They're telling the customer what they think the customer wants to hear, and all humpy-dory until come to find out that it wasn't actually the issue or the problem, and it backfires and you've lied to them. And now everything that you have set up to that point is going to be discredited. And that customer is going to go tell everybody that they know, because bad news travels faster than good news, of how terrible you are as a person, as a shop. And if you're an owner of a shop, you have to put the best people out front. You know, people say, well, if you're going to run a repair shop, you need to concentrate your money and time on hiring good mechanics. And I say yes, to a certain point. But I think the people that are out in front dealing with customers is just as important as the mechanic. If both are failing to do their job and do their job well, then you're going to fail. A lot of business owners take on that point of customer service. You know, I've done it for years. I enjoy talking to people, learning about people, about their wives, husbands, about their kids, grandparents. If one of them's going through something at the time, you know, about a cancer, you know, breast cancer, what have you, I'm all ears. And everything stops around me, because they do matter to me. Not just their check and their cash, them as a whole. And they will sense and feel that if you're genuine. If you're not genuine, they'll pick it up in a heartbeat. So you don't fake it until you make it. Stop reading all these books out there and these courses and everything else of how to provide great customer service. It's so simple. But from there, we go a little bit deeper now. And once you've learned how to talk to people, the next thing will be being able to read people. And what do I mean by reading people? I mean, when they come through the door, I get a sense. And if I don't get a sense, I'll ask enough questions to get a sense of how in depth do they want you to go on what you've done for repairs in the shop, a service, what went into it. As we talked about in a prior video, the 80-20 rule. That means 20% of your customers that come through that door are going to pay you 80% of the shop money's coming in. Whether it's buying parts, buying stuff off your shelves, or having you do mechanical work for them. That's 20%. 2 people out of 10 that come into your shop are going to be the ones that pay for 80% of your revenue. I know it sounds crazy, but that's just the way it is. The other 20% are going to be the ones that nitpick everything. They got to have a deal. You know, can I get so much off? And why'd you do this? I didn't need spark plugs. Why'd you replace my spark plugs? They were working fine. Those are the other 20%. So that leaves 60% of people that will call, stop, and not buy anything. They'll ask maybe what your hourly rate is, to what have you, but you'll never see them again. That's just the way it is. So when you have somebody that's doing customer service out front, they also have to be able to take shop talk and languages to what the customer's level of experience and knowledge is of that. And before you screw up and tell the customer the wrong information, I always recommended to the people that I had that were doing customer service, if they weren't quite sure what was done to the customer's machine, just simply have the mechanic come out and have the mechanic talk with the customer. Now, that can also backfire on you. I'm telling you right now. And we use Claude as an example. We play like this good cop, bad cop. Not on purpose either. But Claude is pretty thin skinned, okay? And if I've got a customer and they're a little irate about the bill or what was done or this or that, and I bring Claude out to discuss what went on with the bill, Claude's going to have the F you attitude towards the customer. And you don't want that. You don't. So try not to bring the mechanics, if they're thin-skinned, out. If you have that 20% that's always looking for a deal, always nitpicking the bills and stuff like that, and just simply, as your customer service person, hold your ground unless you're the owner standing there and the owner wants to do something different. Let the owner handle that. Let me handle it. I'll handle that customer 7 days a week. Because I already know that customer has been to the other shops that I'm partnered and friends with and worn out their welcome. And they're not welcome back. So they've narrowed their field to it's either us or they're doing it themselves. That's why I say partner with the shops around you. They will very quickly tell you if you've got a bad apple and who to stay away from. You know, as we talked about here yesterday, the day before, the do not hire list for the protesters. It's kind of, if you partner up with the shops that are in the area, and even if they're not repair shops, you know, usually that person that is nitpicking and trying to get you to give your work and your time away for free has done it umpteen times, and it's a pattern. And there's a list out there, folks, of who to watch out for, who sticks you with the bill. And you won't know that unless you've already been working with the other shops in the area, the other businesses. So now let's get back to the first 20% that's going to give you 80% of the revenue. Now that 20% doesn't care what you did to the lawnmower. They're willing to pay full retail on anything you have in the shop, any of the parts, no questions asked, and just let me know what I owe you, and they'll write you a check. Easy peasy. 80% of your revenue is going to come from that 20%. So they're not interested in everything that you did to the lawnmower. All they care about is the freaking thing is working again, and I don't have to deal with it. You've taken a problem that they've had and created a solution, and that's all they care about, is it solved. But the thing you also have to do is you have to find out how much your customers want to be kept informed along the way. And I know you've heard it because I've said it so many times on our video that the way I deal with it here in the shop is if I'm not willing to put it into my own machine, I will not put it into your machine. Straight up. And I'm 100% honest. That's how I feel. Now, if I call the customer and the customer says, okay, where are we at? And I tell them where we're at. Well, what's it looking like if we go forward with it? I'll tell them, and a lot of times I have to tell them I don't think it's worth it. But if they want to override me, that's fine. Now, when it comes to your customers again, if you got one of the 20%ers that's a pain in the backside, make sure you get at least that money up front that you've got into it so far. Because what ends up happening, I've seen it to happen to a few shops, and we've had it done when we first started out early on, because we didn't know. We were just kind of feeling our way along, and nobody was there to teach us, And we had customers that said, well, I want it fixed. Go ahead and fix it. So you go ahead and fix it. And then you tell them what the bill is, and then they say, well, I don't want it. Just keep it. And at that point, had you stopped where you stop on your own, you'd still be out so much money, but you wouldn't be out a large amount of money. Whereas if the customer says, well, just go ahead and get the work done, and you put the work into it, and now you've got $500 into a $300 machine that you can't sell for over $300, and the customer sticks you with it, now you've lost $200 somewhere that you're never going to make up. And so you have to be careful when it comes to, your customers and being able to read them. Another thing is, never talk down to your customer. We have a lot of women that come to this shop, and they love coming to this shop because I don't talk down to them. I can explain things. I did that years ago when I learned that quickly when I was in programming, when we were doing different script languages for computer, for the backgrounds that creates everything that you see now. And everything from HTML, on and on. But the biggest thing that I found that of our group, the ones that were excelled the most with programming had the least skills when it comes to telling somebody else what they're doing in layman's terms. So the person that's out front in customer service, or you, the owner that's out front as customer service, you need to be able to explain in layman terms what's going on between the shop and your customer. And you have to do it in such a way that they understand it, but you're not, throwing out fancy words and all the other stuff that's you don't need to. But that there is customer service nutbag. Just keep the KISS principle involved. Keep it simple, stupid. Don't lie. Don't be dishonest. Don't talk down. And be careful about that 20% that is going to be nitpicking, and not let it bother you. And don't let them win it over. It is what it is. If the bill is this, that's what the bill is. And if they got a big problem with it, they can either take it up with the owner, because you can't give in to them. Because once you give in to them, then the next time they're there, they're going to want more. And honestly, for all the work that goes into trying to deal with that customer, you don't need them. You really don't need them. So that brings us to the other part of the video on people with anxiety and stress disorders. And everybody gets stressed, and everybody gets anxious, and that's normal. But it becomes an issue when you become overstressed or over anxious, and you start piling stuff on your shoulders, and you become like you're taking the weight of the world on your shoulders. I see that happening a lot with shop owners and stuff. I can remember when my daughter, she would talk to me every Sunday, and she was one that was always worried about everybody except herself. And I just let her go on for an hour just talking on a Sunday just to get it off her chest. And that seemed to help. And of course, we would laugh at some of the stuff that was bothering her because I'd say, how's that working for you? And we as business owners need to understand stress, anxiety, panic disorder. It can happen to the best of us. Nobody's immune. I'm telling you right now. It's just in our makeup. That's just who we are. And a simple test is if somebody comes into your shop in the morning and is pissed off and they leave, does it ruin your whole day and into the next day, or does it stop at that point? It used to bother me all day and into the next day. I mean, I'm a person that thinks that if there's something that you can do or say at that point in time to correct an issue, then do so. But if it's out of your control, it's out of your control. And why do I say that? I could have a customer come in and be very irate and upset in the morning over a bill, and the bill isn't that much, and you're sitting there thinking, why are they so overbearing on such a small bill? Had nothing to do with us or the shop or the repairs or nothing. It had to do with what was going on with that person's life. They were going through a rough time with their marriage. One of the kids were sick and being treated, and the person had just got to the boiling point that it just happened to take place that morning here in the shop. And then if you carried it with you all day and into the next, of something that didn't have anything to do with your shop in the first place, it had to do with the individual, and the individual I'm talking about called later that day and said, I am so sorry, don't worry about it. I know you're under a lot of stress, and I'm okay as long as you're okay. That's the end of it. But the reason I bring it up mainly is because shop owners are looking at their books and they're saying either they're just breaking even and they're not getting a paycheck, or they're going backwards and they're taking from their savings because the way they used to do business and the way they are doing business is not working anymore. And every day you let that go on, the more stress you get into, because the more debt you get into, or the less you have of your nest egg, or you're not getting any money for yourself. And you're holding on because you feel bad for your employees and your customers. I'm telling you right now, your customers will be okay. They will find somebody else, okay? They're going to miss you not being there, but they will be okay. Your employees, if they have any kind of skills and they work, they will be okay. Just because you made the decision that now is the time to cut your losses and get out is not a bad thing. You have to do what's best for you first and your family, and then once that's covered and you have that ability to help other people like your employees and your customers. If you and your family aren't getting enough money off that business to survive, or you're borrowing against this, trying to stay afloat with credit cards, or you're taking from your savings and it's dwindling fast, get out. Do yourself a favor, do your employees a favor, do your customers a favor, and just simply get out. I know it's probably one of the hardest things you're going to do, but let me tell you, right now, I will tell you there is another side, and you will make it. and maybe just some time off and come back even stronger. But you can't continue doing business the way you have been. So make sure your mental health is in check with anxiety, stress, and being overwhelmed. All three of those are downers to productivity and making the right decisions that you as a business owner should be making. And this isn't just for business owners, this is for anybody. You have to take care of yourself first before you can honestly help somebody else. Fact. Just give that some thought. And on that note, we will catch you on Friday, which is tomorrow. And if you have any comments or suggestions for videos, put it in the comments section. I appreciate all of you. And you guys have a great day.